Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to tackle a problem today that drives millions of people absolutely crazy. Just terrible Wi-Fi in apartment buildings. If you've ever had a video call freeze up or a movie just buffer and buffer and buffer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So today, we're going to get to the bottom of why it happens and, way more importantly, how you can actually fix it.
So, full disclosure, this explainer is digging into Chapter 7 of a really in-depth 10-part tutorial. It's called Reducing Wi-Fi Interference in Apartments, and it's designed for people who are pretty tech-savvy. So, if you're comfortable logging into your router's admin page and you're not afraid to poke around in the settings, you are definitely in the right place.
Yeah, we're pulling all of our insights today from this fantastic guide from RFI detectives. Their work is just brilliant for breaking down the super complex environment, and we're really going to zero in on the actionable advice they lay out in Chapter 7.
Okay, so let's just start with the million-dollar question, right? Why is it so incredibly hard to get a stable connection in a building with tons of other people when it seems to work just fine in a standalone house? Well, the answer is, it's actually more interesting than you might think.
All right, let's get into it. We're going to break this down into 4 main chunks. First, we need to understand the battlefield, what we're calling the Wi-Fi war zone. Then, we'll talk about the solution, which is kind of counterintuitive. It's called the good neighbor principle. After that, we'll get into the 3 biggest changes you can make yourself. And finally, we'll cover the common traps you absolutely have to avoid.
So, first things first. We have to wrap our heads around why your apartment is just a uniquely brutal environment for a Wi-Fi signal. And here's a hint. It's not really about weak signals. It's about being drowned out by overwhelming noise.
I mean, think about it this way. If you live in a house, you're pretty much the only person driving on your own private road. But in an apartment, you're stuck in a massive bumper-to-bumper traffic jam. Your Wi-Fi is in this constant shouting match for airtime with dozens of your neighbors' networks, all trying to talk at once.
And all that competition, it leads directly to all the stuff that makes us want to pull our hair out. Higher latency, that's your lag in gaming. Lower throughput, that's why your downloads take forever. Constant retransmissions are happening in the background when your data gets corrupted and has to be sent again and again. And jitter, jitter is the worst. That's what gives you that horrible, glitchy, robotic video quality on your work calls.
So here's the absolute heart of the problem. It's this underlying protocol. You see, Wi-Fi is actually designed to be polite. Before your router even thinks about sending data, it listens. And if it hears any other Wi-Fi network talking, even a super faint signal from an apartment 3 floors down, it politely waits its turn. The problem is, in a crowded building, it is always waiting. Okay, now for the core idea that's going to guide all of our fixes. And this might sound weird, but the single best way to improve your own Wi-Fi is to be a better wireless neighbor. I know, it sounds crazy, but turning your settings down, not cranking them up, is actually the key to winning this war. Now, this right here is such a critical distinction. Check this out. When routers are on the exact same non-overlapping channel, they can hear each other clearly. They know how to take turns. That's called co-channel interference, and believe it or not, it's manageable. But when they're on nearby overlapping channels, they can't understand each other. They just shout over one another, corrupting the data and causing what's basically a digital car crash.
And this quote just perfectly sums up the golden rule. It is so much better to share one lane politely than it is to cause a massive pileup by trying to drive on the shoulder. This is exactly why you have to stick to the standard non-overlapping channels. We're talking channels 1, 6, and 11 on the 2.4 gigahertz band, period.
Okay, so let's see how we can take this principle and turn it into the 3 most powerful changes you can make right now. This is where we get our hands dirty and start setting up your access point for success in a crowded building. I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. We've already talked about picking the right lane, right? That's your channel selection. So now we need to shrink the size of your car and turn down the volume of your horn. We want to be a sleek, quiet, compact car, not a giant monster truck with an air horn.
So here they are, the 3 big moves. First, you've got to manually set your channel to 1, 6, or 11. Get it off auto. Second, force your channel width to a narrow 20 megahertz. And third, turn your router's transmit power down to low or medium. Now listen, the process here is just as important as the settings. This is critical. Before you change a single thing, save or screenshot your current configuration. Then make only one of these changes at a time. Just one. Then you test your performance. Is it better? Is it worse? Write it down. Only then do you move on to the next tweak. Trust me, that methodical approach is the only way to figure out what actually works in your specific crazy environment.
Let's just double-click on channel width for a second, because this is where almost everybody gets it wrong. Your router's box probably bragged about 40 or 80 megahertz channel width as some kind of high-performance feature. And look, in a big house in the suburbs, maybe it is. But in an apartment building, it's like trying to drive a semi-truck across 3 lanes of traffic. It causes a total jam for everyone, including you. Sticking to that narrow 20 megahertz lane is absolutely essential.
Okay, so finally, let's talk about the common hardware upgrades that people rush out and buy to solve their Wi-Fi woes, but which, in an apartment, often make things a whole lot worse.
You know those super popular, easy-to-use consumer mesh systems? Well, they can be a serious trap in this kind of environment. Why? Well, first, the way the little nodes talk to each other, the wireless backhaul, it literally doubles the amount of traffic on an already gridlocked network. And even worse, their smart, automatic algorithms are designed for spreading a signal across a big, empty house, not for politely navigating a crowded building. They take away the very manual controls over channel, width, and power that you need to actually fix the problem.
So, the key takeaway from the source material is this: simplicity wins, every time. A single, well-placed, and meticulously configured access point is almost always going to give you better performance than a complicated system of repeaters or mesh nodes that just end up fighting with themselves and all your neighbors.
So let this be the question you walk away with. The next time your connection drops, stop asking yourself, how do I make my signal stronger? Instead ask, is my network being a good neighbor? Is it a compact car staying in its lane, or is it a monster truck causing a 10-car pileup? Because in the crowded world of apartment Wi-Fi, being a better neighbor isn't just about being polite, it's the absolute smartest way to get a faster connection for yourself.